Welcome to the new video. Walmart Stalker. When I was 18, I got a job at Walmart. Small town, not much else there for someone fresh out of high school. I'd been there about a month and worked in the jewelry department, usually from mid-afternoon until the department closed at 9 p.m. and I would close the department myself, but obviously, Walmart is open 24 hours, so other people were always around. One night I'm locking the cases up and putting things away, and an overnight stalker walks by and says hi. I look up, smile and say hi back, then go about my business. This guy, the only way I can describe him is to say he looks like one of the Beagies. Shoulder-length frizzy hair, kind of a bouncy hop to his step when he walked. Mid-50s. This started to become a regular thing. On nights I closed by myself, he'd walk by and say hi, and I would say hi back. That's it. No conversations ever took place. Then on my birthday, a few of my friends who worked there got me cake, and I hugged them and said thank you, etc. About an hour later, Mr. Beagies comes around with a birthday card and gave it to my manager to give to me. Manager thought it was extremely funny that this weirdo got me a card. Until I opened it. Happy birthday. I saw you hugging those guys earlier. It made me really mad, but I called a friend and talked it out, and he made me realize you're allowed to have friends other than me. Just please don't hug them anymore. Save those hugs for me. I don't know what kind of emotion showed on my face, but my manager grabbed the card and read it, then walked me back to the store manager's office and showed it to him. Store manager said the guy was obviously joking, but that he would talk to him about it. I didn't see Mr. Beagies for around a week. Until one night while I was closing, he plunked down a stuffed envelope on my counter as he walked by without a word. Inside was 6 pages front and back of pure crazy. It was basically his entire life story, all about his family and schools he went to, but with weird stuff like how his sister was a psychic and his father was an exorcist and all sorts of weirdness. The end of the letter was about how his friend, who was 18 months old, was missing, and he knew she was being raped because he could hear her screaming his name in his dreams. What the fuck? So that also went to the store manager, and he had me write a written complaint, and he told me not to go outside by myself and not to wander near where the guy might be while I'm on my breaks. No, get rid of him. 2 nights later I was finishing up for the night, and the way the counter is set up, there is one opening and the counters go all the way around both sides. He brought a handcart around with boxes for my department, but pushed it into the only opening in the counter, so I was trapped inside. He just stood there and stared at me while I looked at him with what I'm sure was harsh terror. I was then, and still am now, riddled with anxiety. I don't like confrontation, and the last thing I wanted was for this weirdo to confront me about me reporting him. Twice. He whispers, "Sorry, didn't mean to scare you." I turned around and started finishing my closing tasks, pretending he wasn't there even though I could feel him watching me. After a few minutes, I just looked at him and said, "Were you told to stay away from me?" He gave me this gross predator grin and said store manager's name, asked me if I was joking. I told him I was. Then he leaned in as close to me as he could get with the counter between us and whispered, "But I'm not joking." Then he walked away. For 2 weeks after that, he would randomly show up wherever I was. I would leave for lunch, he would be there. Even non-work places. I would go to the mall, he would be there. Another department manager told me he had been reported by 4 other people over the last 2 years for very similar behavior. I again went to my store manager, who told me the guy was harmless and maybe had a little bit of a crush. He was in his 50s and I was 18-19 during this crap. A week later I gave my notice and quit. He still works there 13 years later. Still gives me the heebie-jeebies.